Welcome to the deep dive. When you think of chili, I bet a very specific, almost singular image pops into your head.
Oh, absolutely. It's this monolithic idea, right? A big, hearty bowl probably has some ground beef.
Right. Ground beef, beans, a heavy spice blend, maybe some cheese piled on top, and it's always hot.
Exactly. But that one image, well, that's the thing we're about to completely dismantle. The collection of materials we've pulled together is, and I don't say this lightly, staggering.
It really is. We've got this compendium of 50 different preparations, and you quickly realize chili is less a single dish and more a culinary phenomenon.
It's a canvas, a huge canvas where heat and spice are the main colors, but you can paint almost anything with them. It adapts to any protein, any temperature, any purpose.
So our mission today, it's not about finding the best or the truest chili. That's impossible. Instead, we're going to extract the most fascinating parts. The weird ingredients, the historical recipes, the genius techniques.
We're giving you a shortcut, really. A guide to the entire chili ecosystem, from the familiar to the things that, frankly, defy expectation.
Some of them really do. I mean, we're going to talk about a recipe that calls for, what, a pound of fresh armadillo meat?
A pound of armadillo meat right next to T-bone steak, and another that uses tequila for its flavor extraction. It's wild.
Tequila in chili. I'm already on board.
Yeah.
And we absolutely have to get into the C.V. Woods World Championship recipe. It's this legendary multi-day, 7-stage process.
It's competitive cooking as an art form, but then on the complete opposite end of that, we have things like Linda McCartney's avocado and green chili soup.
Which is served cold.
Completely cold. It just shows you how far the concept can stretch. By the time we're done, you'll see how chili can be a preserved condiment that lasts forever, or a quick, refreshing soup you have to eat immediately.
Okay, so let's try to get our arms around this collection.
Yeah.
I mean, just looking at the table of contents, it's clear this isn't just 50 ways to make a beef stew.
Not at all. The sheer variety forces you to kind of create a taxonomy. You have to categorize them to even begin to understand what's going on.
To see the family tree, basically.
Exactly. And doing that tells you where the traditional boundaries are and, where people have been pushing them. We can really break it down into 5 big categories, starting with the most adventurous one, the proteins.
Let's start there, because that's where things get really wild, really fast. We're talking way beyond beef.
Way beyond. The first category we can call exotic and specialty meats. And the examples are just fantastic. We've got buffalo hump chili, the incredible buffalo snort red chili with armadillo meat, and caribou chili.
So what's the big takeaway from that? Is it just for shock value?
No, not at all. It's deeply historical. Think about it. In frontier regions especially, chili was this powerful tool to make use of whatever protein was available.
So regional or non-traditional meat.
Exactly. The heavy spice load, the long cooking time, it's perfect for masking gamey flavors and tenderizing tougher cuts. Nothing goes to waste. It's a culinary survival tool, really.
That makes so much sense. The cumin, the chili powder. It's a foundation that can support almost anything you put on top of it.
Precisely. And speaking of foundations, the next category is rooted in history itself. These are recipes tied to specific people or places.
The historical or named chilies.
Yeah.
Yeah, these read less like recipes and more like, I don't know, historical documents.
They do. You see things like the Butterfield stage line chili.
Which sounds like something straight out of the 19th century American West.
It does. Then you have the C.V. Woods World Championship chili, which is pure competition. It's a method designed to win. And then there's Chili Elizabeth Taylor and Chili Pat's. It's like culinary branding.
It gives the recipe a story, a legacy. You have to wonder if Elizabeth Taylor's chili is like super dramatic and over the top.
We'll find out. But it shows that a recipe can become famous just by its association. Now, moving to proteins that are a bit more common today.
Right. The poultry and seafood chilies. This is where the versatility really shines.
It really does. We see catfish chili, Mexican chicken chili, and even something called low-calorie turkey chili rellenos.
Rellenos. So stuffed.
Exactly. Stuffed and fried. This category shows a shift. It's less about the heavy rendered fat from beef and more about integrating other things for richness, like cheese or different cooking techniques. And of course, the cook time changes dramatically. You can't simmer catfish for 3 hours.
Of course not. And as dietary needs have changed over the years, chili has kept up.
It's proven to be incredibly flexible. The vegetarian and lentil category is a perfect example. It directly challenges the whole con carne with meat idea.
So you've got lentil chili, low-fat lentil chili.
And even a chili mushroom and cashew paste.
Yeah.
These recipes rely on things like lentils or beans for that hearty texture and protein, and the spices do all the heavy lifting for flavor.
But the real outlier, the one that just stops you in your tracks, has to be the one you mentioned earlier.
Linda McCartney's avocado and green chili soup. It's a genuine aha moment. It proves that chili is a flavor concept, not a non-negotiable ingredient list.
It's served cold, it's creamy. It completely breaks the mold.
It does. It shows that the profile, the heat, the cumin, the bright chili notes can work in completely unexpected textures and temperatures.
And that flavor profile, it doesn't just stay in a bowl. It sort of leaks out into everything else.
That's a great way to put it. The bites, sides, and sauces category is what we could call the chili ecosystem. You have chili cheese bites, chili oil, chili fish sauce, even pickled jalapenos, chilies, jalapenos, and escabeche.
So chili isn't just a meal, it's a flavor agent.
A flavor agent, a preservative, a condiment, it's everywhere. Which brings us finally to the contested heart of the chili universe.
The Chili Con Carne variants, this is where the arguments start.
This is where the battle for authenticity is fought. The fact that we have so many versions, Mexican style, version 1, version 2, crock pot, pressure cooker, it tells you there is no single true chili.
It's all about these fundamental questions, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Do you use beans or not? How do you thicken it? Flour, cornmeal, mashed beans? What other weird things do you throw in, like black olives or vinegar? Each variation is its own local tradition, its own declaration of what's right.
Okay, let's move from the 30,000-foot view and get into the granular details, starting with some of those intense exotic meat recipes. Buffalo hump chili. That name is something else.
It is, but the recipe is maybe a little less intimidating than the name suggests. It actually calls for 3 pounds of ground buffalo meat.
Okay, so not a literal hump. That's a relief. What builds the flavor here?
It's built on a really solid foundation, 4.5 tablespoons of New Mexico powdered chili, which gives it that deep, earthy red flavor with a nice moderate heat, and then Rotel tomatoes for liquid and that all-important acidity.
And it uses fresh poblano peppers, which are generally on the milder side. But I noticed the instructions are really specific about when you add them.
They are, and this is a key insight. You follow the usual steps, brown the meat, cook the onions till they're translucent, but you hold back the poblanos. You reserve them until the last 20 minutes of simmering.
Why so late?
If you put them in at the beginning, they'd just disintegrate, turn to mush. Adding them at the end means they keep some of their structure, their texture. You get this little bite of fresh, almost herbal pepper that cuts through the deep, slow-cooked chili base.
It's about layering, not just flavors, but textures. And the finish is just as important.
It's critical. Right before you serve it, you pour in fresh lime juice while you're stirring. That hit of acid just brightens everything up. It cuts through the richness of the buffalo fat and makes the whole dish pop. A classic finishing move.
Okay, from the classic to the unbelievable. Let's talk about buffalo snort red chili with armadillo meat. The name alone is a journey.
And the ingredient list delivers on that promise. This thing is a monster. We're talking almost 7 pounds of meat in total.
7 pounds, what's in there?
It's a 4-part blend. 5 pounds of coarsely ground beef chuck, 10 ounces of finely chopped T-bone steak, 12 ounces of Lone Star beef, and then, the star of the show, 1 pound of fresh armadillo meat.
The armadillo. What does that even bring to the party? I can't imagine it's a common flavor.
I would guess it's very lean, probably a bit tough, which is why the cooking time is so long. The T-bone and Lone Star beef are there for texture, these little tender bursts. The spice blend is just as complex. You've got New Mexican red, cayenne for pure heat, New Mexican green for a fresher note, and even Hungarian hot paprika.
Paprika, that's a bit of a curveball.
It adds this deep, smoky, almost European flavor. And on top of all that, they throw in a pound of spicy Italian sausage for its seasoned fat.
My God, so how do you even begin to cook something like this?
You start with more fat, of course.
Yeah.
1/2 pound of bacon fried in the pot to render it all down. You use that to cook the onions, and then you start adding the meats, one by one. After all the spices and liquids go in, you bring it to a boil and then simmer it for about 2 hours.
2 hours. That's non-negotiable, I'm guessing.
Absolutely not. You need that time to meld all those spices, but more importantly, to break down the armadillo and the cued T-bone to turn them from tough to tender.
All right, let's pivot from the wild frontier to something more historical. The Butterfield Stage Line Chili. This one introduces alcohol into the mix.
It does, and it suggests a really rich regional tradition. The meat base is huge, 2 pounds of ground pork and 10 pounds of finely chopped beef brisket. But the liquids, that's the real story. You've got your tomato sauce and beef broth, but also 1 can of beer and 1 ounce of tequila.
Okay, I have to ask, is the tequila just a gimmick? Does it really do anything in a pot with 12 pounds of meat?
That's a fair question, but no, it's not a gimmick. It's actually a bit of culinary genius.
Yeah.
Alcohol is a fantastic solvent, better than water or fat for certain aromatic compounds.
So it's a flavor extractor.
A powerful one. By adding the tequila and beer, you're maximizing the flavor extraction from all your spices. The alcohol itself boils off, but it leaves behind its essence and a much deeper, more complex spice profile that cuts through all that rich brisket and pork fat.
Huh. So it's the same principle as adding wine to a beef bourguignon, just with a southwestern twist. And it simmers for a long time.
2 to 3 hours, which you need for that brisket. But
Yeah.
the most interesting part, the thing that tells you this is an old, refined recipe, is the final instruction. Do not stir it 30 minutes before it is served.
Don't stir it. Why?
You let everything settle. The dense solids, the brisket and pork, sink to the bottom. It keeps the chili from getting cloudy or soupy. It's a sign of respect for the texture you've spent hours building.
Incredible. Okay, now for the main event in this category, the pinnacle of dedication. C.V. Wood's World Championship Chili. This is not a recipe, it's a project.
It's an architectural feat. It is designed from the ground up to win a competition. It hits every single note complex, heat, deep umami, varied texture, visual appeal. It uses 3 different proteins: chicken, pork chop, and beef flank steak. And it calls for 1/2 pound of beef suet.
Okay, let's pause on suet.
Yep.
For anyone who doesn't know, what is it and why is it so important here?
Suet is the hard white fat from around the kidneys of cattle. It's different from regular beef fat. It has a much higher melting point, and when you render it down, it creates this incredibly clean, intensely rich fat base. It provides a mouthfeel and a depth of flavor that you just cannot get from regular oil.
So it's the secret weapon for richness. Now, the process for this recipe is famously complex. We don't have to go through all 7 stages, but what are the core principles at play here?
Okay, you can boil it down to 3 main ideas. First, parallel flavor bases. It develops the liquids separately. You simmer chicken to make a broth in one pot. You simmer tomatoes and sugar in another. You boil and deseed the chilies separately. You only combine them later, so each base is perfect on its own.
I see. And the second principle?
Layered protein preparation. The pork and flank steak are browned in batches separately in that rendered suet. The flank steak is cut into very precise 3/8-inch cubes. The separate browning creates a deep crust, maximum caramelization before it ever touches the main liquid.
And the third principle is the one that really requires patience.
It's the competition secret, the multi-day rest. After everything is cooked and simmered, you cool it down and put it in the refrigerator overnight.
Why is that overnight rest so critical? After hours of cooking, why wait even longer?
It's all about flavor chemistry. As the chili cools, the fats solidify and they trap all those spice molecules. When you gently reheat it the next day, those fats melt back into the liquid, releasing the flavors in a way that's fully integrated and much more intense. It's the final marriage of flavors.
That is true dedication.
Yeah.
Let's end this section with something on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, the caldillo, the New Mexican green chili stew.
Yes, the caldillo is a beautiful contrast. It's simple, it's humble, lean beef or pork, oil, onion, potatoes, garlic, and 6 pieces of green chili. That's about it.
And the preparation is just as straightforward.
Totally. You cube the meat, fry it till it's brown, then add just enough water to cover it along with everything else. You simmer it just until the potatoes are tender. The focus isn't on a dozen spices. It's on showcasing the fresh, bright, almost sweet heat of the New Mexican green chili. That's the star. So as we move away from those really heavy, red meat-focused chilies, we start to see how incredibly adaptable the whole concept is. Lighter proteins, much quicker cooking times, very specific regional flavors start to come into play.
Right, like the California chili. You mentioned this one uses chicken and red wine, which sounds almost Mediterranean.
It has that feel. It uses 3 pounds of sliced chicken and, very importantly, olive oil instead of a rendered animal fat. That's an immediate signal that you're going for a lighter, brighter flavor profile. And it uses red wine and whole cumin seeds.
Lowell seeds, not ground. Does that make a difference?
A huge difference. Whole seeds release their flavor more slowly and subtly as they toast in the oil. You avoid that sometimes harsh, almost metallic taste you can get from overdoing powdered cumin.
And I imagine the cooking method is much faster to accommodate the chicken.
Much faster. The chicken is fried separately until it's golden, The aromatics get sautéed with those whole cumin seeds. Then you combine everything and simmer for just about an hour. That's it. A stark contrast to the 3-hour brisket recipes.
Okay, now let's go back to a game meat, caribou chili. This feels like a recipe born out of necessity in a specific region.
It is. It calls for 4 pounds of caribou, and it gives you options for the liquid red wine, beef broth, or beer. After the initial sauté, it simmers for an hour. But the defining feature, the real takeaway here, is the optional thickener. It suggests using a masa harina paste.
Masa harina.
Yeah.
We hear about flour and cornstarch all the time. What is masa harina, and how does that change the final dish?
Masa harina is corn flour made from corn that's been treated in an alkali solution. It's the stuff you make tortillas from. And it's not just the thickener. Unlike cornstarch, which is neutral, masa harina imparts its own distinct flavor.
That savory, toasty corn flavor.
Exactly. So when you add it to the chili, you're not just thickening the broth, you're transforming it. It adds this rustic, slightly sweet corn flavor and a whole different mouthfeel. It fundamentally changes the character of the dish.
That's a huge impact from one ingredient. Now, for a real challenge, catfish chili. I mean, fish is so delicate.
Yeah.
How do you keep it from turning to mush in a chili pot?
It's all about timing. The recipe uses 2 pounds of catfish fillet cut into cubes. The solution is simple. You build your flavor base first, you sauté the garlic and peppers, add your tomatoes and spices, and let that simmer for just 15 minutes to get the sauce going.
And the catfish goes in when?
Right at the very end. You add the cubes and cook it just until the meat can be flaked with ease. We're talking minutes. Any longer, and it would disintegrate. This method keeps the fish intact, flaky, and tender.
We also see chili adapting to, health trends. There's a chicken and chili soup that's very focused on being low-fat.
Yes, this one is a great example of adaptation. It uses margarine, fat-free chicken stock, cooks chicken breast, and low-fat cheddar. It even throws in cauliflower flowerets for bulk and nutrition.
And it thickens it with a cornstarch slurry instead of a fat-based roux.
Right. And even the way it handles the cheese is a specific technique for low-fat cooking. It says to sprinkle the cheese in 2 or 3 sets and mix until it's melted.
Why do that?
Low-fat cheese can get clumpy or oily if you add it all at once because it likes the fat to emulsify properly. Adding it in batches helps it melt smoothly into the soup without separating. It's a small but important technical detail.
Now let's pivot to chili as a component, not a soup.
Mm-hmm.
The chicken chilis rellenos recipe is, well, the scale of it is insane.
It's enormous. 12 pounds of chicken breast, 48 green chilies, 2 pounds of Monterey Jack cheese. This is clearly a recipe for a party or a catering event.
And it's incredibly labor-intensive. It involves flattening chicken with a mallet.
It's a whole process. You flatten the chicken, roll it around the chili in a slice of cheese, secure it with a pick, dip it in an egg wash, dredge it in seasoned flour, and then deep fry it.
So it's not a stew at all. It's chili flavor delivered in a crispy fried package.
A completely different format. And speaking of complex formats, the final one in this section is the chicken enchiladas with pasilla chili sauce. Here, the sauce is the entire story.
This one sounds like it requires some serious technique. It starts with almonds and dry pasilla chilies.
Yes, and pasillas are key. They're a dried chili with this deep, fruity, almost raisin-like flavor and a nice moderate heat. You start by sautéing them with blanched almonds in peanut oil until they darken. That toasting process is crucial for waking up all those flavors.
And then it becomes a reduction sauce.
A serious reduction. You cook the chicken in stock and reserve that liquid. You add all your other sauce ingredients, toasted cumin, sugar, tomatoes, the chili almond mix, and simmer it all for 45 minutes. But here's the dedication part. You puree the whole mixture and then boil it again for another 20 minutes until it reduces down to exactly 4 cups.
Wow, that's going to concentrate the flavor immensely.
It makes it incredibly powerful. That thick, rich, syrupy sauce becomes the absolute soul of the enchiladas. It's a sauce that demands respect.
All right, now we're wading into the great debate, the different versions of Chili Con Carne. These recipes all claim the same name, but their approaches are just wildly different.
This is where you see that Chili Con Carne is more of a concept than a single rigid recipe. Let's start with the most modern, convenient take, the crockpot chili.
The set it and forget it champion. This one is all about efficiency, using canned goods and that super low, slow heat.
Exactly. Canned kidney beans, canned tomatoes, browned ground beef. The seasoning is simple chili powder and cumin. And you cook it on low for 10 to 12 hours. But there's one very specific instruction that stands out.
What's that?
Stir only once.
Only once. At the beginning, why would you not stir a stew?
In a crock pot, over that long, gentle cook time, too much stirring can break everything down into mush. The beans can fall apart, the meat gets pulverized. By stirring just once, you let everything settle and cook gently without being agitated. The ingredients at the bottom naturally thicken the sauce without everything turning into a uniform paste.
That's fascinating. Okay, let's contrast that simplicity with the Chili Con Carne Mexican style. This one has some really surprising ingredients. Black olives.
A whole pint of black olives, plus red wine vinegar and brown sugar. It creates this tangy, savory, almost sweet and sour profile that's a huge departure from a standard chili.
And there's a specific technique for how it uses the chili powder, right? This is a big one.
This is a huge one. It's a technique called blooming the spices. Instead of just dumping the chili powder into the liquid, you add it to the heated oil first before you add your flour thickener.
What does that do?
Fat is a better carrier for flavor than water. Heating the chili powder in the oil releases all of its oil-soluble flavor compounds. The flavor becomes deeper, richer, less raw or dusty. It's a game changer for getting the most out of your spices.
And the cook time is designed to incorporate those unusual flavors, the vinegar and olives.
Yes, after the spices are bloomed and the tomatoes are in, it simmers. Then the vinegar and sugar go in. But the beans, they're added and cooked for another 2 hours. That long simmer is to make sure the beans fully absorb that complex, acidic, olive-infused liquid.
Wow. Okay, next up, a version that's all about tradition. Chili Con Carne version 2. The first thing you notice is it calls for dried beans.
That's a massive commitment right there.
Yeah.
Using dried pinto or red beans instead of canned adds hours to your prep time for soaking and then a much longer cooking time. This recipe is for the purists.
And the whole process is built around managing those raw beans.
Entirely. You actually boil the dried soaked beans together with the beef, onions, and garlic until the beans are tender, which can take 1 to 2 hours on its own. Only then do you add the final flavor base, the sautéed tomatoes and spices, and simmer for another hour. It's all about achieving that perfect from-scratch bean texture.
Now, what if you want that deep flavor, but you don't have, 5 hours? That's where the pressure cooker method comes in.
This one is built for speed. It uses canned beans, bacon fat, but it has this one ingenious little trick for thickening.
What's the trick?
Before you start cooking, you take about a cup of the canned beans, mash them up into a paste, and stir that back into the base.
Oh, that's brilliant. It's an instant natural thickener.
Exactly. It gives the chili body right from the start. Then you cook it all under 15 pounds of pressure for just 15 minutes. It achieves in minutes what the other recipes take hours to do. It's the ultimate chili life hack.
And finally, we arrive at the most dramatic presentation of all. Chili Elizabeth Taylor.
Flamboyant is the word. The chili itself is pretty classic beef, tomato puree, but it's heavily seasoned with basil, thyme, Worcestershire, red wine vinegar. It's complex, but the real performance is the final step.
It stops being a stew.
It stops being a stew and becomes a casserole. You pour the finished cooled chili into a baking dish, pour cornbread batter directly over the top, and bake it for 30 minutes.
You get this all-in-one dish with the cornbread baked right on.
A golden brown cornbread crust on top of a rich, bubbling chili. It's served with black beans on the side. It's pure Hollywood, a humble dish elevated to a show-stopping centerpiece. So we've seen chili as a stew, a soup, a filling, a casserole. Now we get to see how that flavor profile gets extracted and used in a whole ecosystem of other foods. This is where chili becomes a true foundational flavor.
Let's start with the appetizers. I was really struck by the shelf life of some of these baked cheese snacks.
The cheese chili bites, baked, are fascinating because they're designed to last. It's a dough made with flour, mustard, chili powder, cayenne, butter, and cheddar. You bake them, and because they're so low in moisture...
They're basically savory, spicy crackers.
Right. And you can store them in an airtight container for up to 2 weeks. It's the perfect make-ahead party snack. Contrast that with the chili cheese ball, which is pure convenience. Cream cheese, salsa, seasoning, roll it in nuts. No cooking, but you have to eat it fresh.
And then there's the cheesy green chili tart, which uses pre-made pie crusts. It just shows how easily that chili flavor can be slipped into other formats as a savory filling.
Exactly. But let's move from appetizers to pure flavor concentrates. The condiments. This is where chili becomes a method of seasoning.
We've got two sauces here that are polar opposites. The fresh chili fish sauce and the long-lasting chili oil.
The chili fish sauce is a lesson in fresh, vibrant flavor. It's a cold, mixed garlic, chili paste, serranos, lime juice, cilantro, Thai sauce. It's bright, it's acidic, it's meant to be spooned over grilled fish or vegetables.
And it has a very short shelf life.
Only about 3 days in the fridge. It's all about that fresh, sharp punch, which is the complete opposite of the chili oil.
The chili oil is a long-term investment.
A very patient one. It uses peanut oil, dried red chiles, and this is interesting, unroasted Sichuan peppercorns.
Unroasted. And what did the Sichuan peppercorns bring? That's not a typical chili ingredient.
They bring that famous mala sensation, that tingly, numbing feeling on your tongue. The method is to heat the oil until it's almost smoking, then pour it over the chiles and peppercorns. That intense heat extracts their essential oils.
But the real magic is in the waiting period.
Absolutely. You have to let it cool and then stand for 2 full days before you strain it. That slow infusion is key, and the result is an incredibly stable condiment. This oil can be kept, it says, indefinitely.
Indefinitely. Wow. Okay, now for the most intense preservation project of them all. The pickled jalapenos, the chilies, jalapenos, and escabeche. This is a multi-week affair.
It's a masterclass, and it starts long before you even make the brine. First, you have to soak the jalapenos in a saltwater mixture for 4 to 5 days.
4 to 5 days. Just soaking. What is that doing?
It's a curing process. It draws out some of the bitterness and toughens up the pepper's skin so it doesn't turn to mush when you pour the hot brine over it. It's preparing the pepper for the long journey ahead.
And the brine itself is very aromatic.
Very. Vinegar, cloves, ginger, cinnamon, oregano, thyme. You boil that. Separately, you saute onions, carrots, and garlic. Then you layer the peppers and the sauteed vegetables in a sterilized jar, pour the boiling brine over top, and seal it.
And then you wait again.
Then you wait again. It has to stand for 2 weeks in a cool place before you can even touch it. It's a huge investment of time for a massive flavor payoff.
Okay, let's end by revisiting that ultimate outlier, the one that breaks every rule. The cold vegetarian soup.
Linda McCartney's avocado and green chili soup. It's a complete departure. It's a cold soup made by pureeing avocado pulp with soy milk, canned green chilies, onion, lemon juice, and dry sherry.
The dry sherry is a really sophisticated touch. Not what you'd expect.
Not at all. It adds this complex, nutty background note, and at a cold temperature, the creaminess of the avocado and the acid from the lemon juice really soften and distribute the chili heat in a gentle, refreshing way, but you have to serve it immediately.
Because the avocado will turn brown?
Instantly. It's the complete opposite of the chili oil. It's a fleeting, vibrant dish. And that just leads us to the last example, the chilied mushroom and cashew peiton, which proves the flavor is totally portable. It uses chili spices to season mushrooms, which are then blended with a cashew paste. It's a savory, spreadable appetizer that tastes like chili, but without any of the traditional components. #tag outro. You know, when you step back and look at all of this, the most profound thing is just the incredible adaptability. We went from a 10-pound, multi-day championship meat stew all the way to a fresh, cold avocado soup you have to eat in 5 minutes.
It's unbelievable. The protein changes, the temperature changes, the texture, the cook time. It ranges from minutes to weeks. So if you strip all that away, what are the actual essential elements? What makes all of these things chili?
I think the unifying thread is twofold. First, the flavor profile. It's almost always built on powdered chili or whole chiles, almost always backed up by cumin and often oregano. But second, and just as important, is the technique. It's a dedication to developing flavor over time.
Whether that time is a 3-hour simmer,
Or a 12-hour crockpot cook, or 15 minutes under intense pressure, or a 2-day infusion for an oil. Time in some form is always a key ingredient to let those flavors marry.
so we have recipes with no meat, recipes with no beans, recipes that are cold, recipes that are baked into a cake.
Which leaves us with the ultimate question for you to think about. If the definition is this flexible, what element is truly essential? Is it just the spice blend? Is it the commitment to a long cook? Or has the word chili just become this powerful cultural shorthand for any food that carries that signature combination of heat and cumin, regardless of what form it takes? The definition, it seems, is just as varied as the dish itself.